Welcome back to the Growth Over Goals podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Montgomery, and today we're hanging out with one of my closest friends, NBA optimization coach, top keynote speaker, and best-selling author, David Nurse. Today we talk about optimization, performance, and we spend a little bit of time on David's new book, Do It, the life-changing power of taking action. I'm going to tell you, this is a live conversation, so we've got questions coming from audience members. It was a virtual webinar. David was so gracious to answer various questions over the course of 55 minutes. And we landed this plane with David talking about what's next and giving people access to his new book, Do It, the life-changing power of taking action. Here we go, conversation with David Nurse. Hey, welcome to our live webinar presented by Montgomery Companies. I'm Jordan Montgomery with my dear friend, David Nurse, NBA optimization coach, top speaker, best-selling author. And today's our special guest. We're going to talk all about his new book, Do It, the life-changing power of taking action. David is one of the most action-oriented people that I know. And you're going to walk away today with some practical wisdom on how to take greater action in your own life for personal and professional growth. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to let David just kind of roll for 15 minutes about this book. He's going to drop some wisdom. You should know this. David is a top keynote speaker, so we're getting a free keynote from David today. And then we're going to go Q&A. So what we would love is in the chat box, as you have questions, drop those questions in. We'll shout you out. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can after David's done speaking. And then we're going to honor your time. So we'll be done a few minutes to the top of the hour. And we'll be sure to add David's information also in the chat box, get you all the links so you can reach out, get in touch, follow him on social media. But with that, I'm going to turn it over and give the floor to my good friend, David Nurse.
Jordan, I'm excited to get into this, talking about why taking action is so important. And throughout the conversation that we have today, and I want to hear a lot of questions, I want to make sure that we get to everybody's question, is think about this. What is the thing that in your life, where you're at right now at this present moment, that you are not doing that is holding you back from the person that you want to be? Everybody is at the exact place right now today. And there's a gap, there's a valley. The bridge to cross this valley from today to the person you are created to be, your God-given potential, your full alignment with who you are meant to be for tomorrow, that bridge is taking action. And just so you know, there is a huge difference between knowing, listening to podcasts, reading amazing books like Do It, and taking action. It's one of the biggest debilitators that I think society has put on us right now. Is there's so much info, read this, watch this, listen to this. But until you make that decision that, hey, I'm going to take action, regardless if it's difficult, that bridge, think about it as a tightrope walker walking across the Grand Canyon. It's not easy. It's not. You can see the destination in saying, you know, the formula is simple. 1%, daily steps, taking action. The formula is simple. The execution is the challenge. So think about that today as we talk about these different archetypes and how to take action in your life, of where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. And also in that gap, as you walk over this bridge of taking action, you know what's underneath there? You know the reason why people do not take action? You know why the reason that the percentage of people that accomplish their dreams and are living their dream life is only 8%? That means 92% of people never live out their dreams. Everybody has dreams, but you know what holds them back? Fear. That 4-letter word of fear. And fear can come in a lot of different ways, but ultimately it is fear of the results, fear of failure. If you take action, will you fail? Will it be worth it? What will people think of you? What will people say? It's uncertain. The future is uncertain. That's just how it is. For example, if I was going to tell you, hey, I know the exact day you're going to die, you wouldn't be as afraid of death because you can prepare for it. You know it's coming. Hey, it's coming to all of us just the way it is. Yeah. So why live in fear of holding you back from living this life that you want to live, a life of fulfillment, a life of joy, a life of passion, a life of pouring into yourself so that you can pour into others. And we're going to unlock that. This book will unlock it. I go through 9 action archetypes, similar to this is kind of the 40,000 foot view that I give, Jordan. It's Atomic Habits meets the Enneagram with crazy cool Malcolm Gladwell type stories of historical figures from the past who changed the trajectory of the world. So if you don't want to read it after that, I mean, come on now. And it's free, by the way.
Let's go.
Let's go. So before we get into it, I want to tell you just a quick story, okay? Just a quick story in my past of when I really realized, and I haven't even told Jordan this story ever. I don't think I've ever told him this. It's crazy. We're that good of friends. I've never told him this. When I realized that I am never going to let fear hold me back. So I'm young. I'm a basketball coach. I'm running basketball camps all over the country. And I wanted to become an NBA coach. And this was kind of on my journey to get to this time. And a friend of mine coached a high school team, Archbishop Mitty in San Francisco area, in the Bay Area. And he had a high-ranked player, the number 2 ranked player in the entire country at the time. So I'm up there in the Bay Area doing some basketball camps. And he asked me, hey, you want to come train this player, this top-ranked player? And my buddy that I'm with, he's like, hey, let's go up there. Let's film it. We can send this film out. You'll be an NBA trainer. You've been saying you want to train NBA players. This is the next step to get to the NBA. You have to do this. And we had it all set up. I was going to go there after their practice and put him through some drills. This kid is 16, by the way. You know, I'm in my 20s. So like, why would I be afraid to do this? What do I have to lose? And I chicken out. I made an excuse of why I could not go train this player. Now, just to give you this player's name, it's Aaron Gordon, the dunk champion. He's still in the NBA. He's had a fantastic NBA career. I was afraid to go train him. And I made an excuse because I was fearful of what he would think. Oh, this guy he's never trained NBA players. What if he finds me out? David's a fraud. What if he doesn't know what to do? I was in fear of failing, fear of what the results would be. So I felt really bad. I was beating myself up about it. I made an excuse. The world didn't change. Nothing happened. Nobody was like, David, you should have done this. Nobody's holding me accountable for it. I kind of just, went on my own way. I'll run some more basketball camps for 7th grade basketball teams and, just go about what I was doing. But then I got another opportunity. The coach said, hey, you want to come back? Are you okay to come back and train the player? And again, I was fearful. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to take action. What happens if I fail? But my friend basically dragged me up there. He's like, you are going and I'm bringing a camera and we are filming this and we're going to get it out there everywhere. And I go up there and I put Aaron through some shooting drills. You can even go look on YouTube. You want to just crack up laughing of me on YouTube like years and years ago. There's videos of me training Aaron Gordon and I'm putting him through these drills like I knew exactly what I was doing. First player of that status that I've ever trained. We video it. We send it out to agents. A big-time agent picks it up. He likes it. I start doing his pre-draft, working with potential NBA players that go into the draft, and it just kind of grows from there to the point I've worked with over 200 NBA players on court alone. If I wouldn't have taken action there. Now, I got a second chance at it. Sometimes you will not. But the point being is, don't live in fear. We live in a win-win life. Like we really do. There is no loss. Think about this. If you take action and you fail and you flop, are you going to die? No, you won't. And even if you do, then you don't have to worry about it because you're gone. Don't worry about it. Are you going to go to jail? Probably not. You're probably not doing something against the law, taking action. Are you going to be homeless? No, you're not. So what lies are you continuing to tell yourself? There's been study done by Lafrane and Newman of worst case scenario thoughts. 92.28% of these people studied, worst case scenario thoughts never even came close to coming true. 92.28. And get this, of those worst case scenario thoughts, the people were spending 25% of their day, 1/4 of their waking hours, worrying about thoughts that wouldn't even come true. What sense does that make? So we're going to go through some action archetypes. We're going to help you unlock, the book will help you unlock in depth what is holding you back and how you can overcome that so that you can reach that 8%, so that you can reach your full potential and your full alignment. But what I want you to think about, like I said, through this talk, through these questions, knowing versus doing, completely different things. And also the ultimate self-thought, self-development is self-efficacy. Okay, so think about this. Self-efficacy means, are you acting as the person today who you want to be tomorrow? So people will say, hey, you got to have great self-esteem. Awesome, perfect. That's the first step. Loving yourself, self-awareness, self-confidence. Second step, great. You can walk into a room, you feel confident who you are in your own, comfortable in your skin. But self-efficacy, are you acting today as the person you know you can be tomorrow? So I'm going to leave you with that thought. Jordan and I are going to jump into some questions. Please, in the chat, ask any question that you have. And if we don't get to them, I'm very accessible. You can email me, david@davidnurse.com, and we can do questions that way.
Let's go. Throw your questions in the chat box. We're going to try to answer as many as possible. I'm going to lead with our first question, and then we're going to go to Tim Harrington, rockstar leader in the Quad Cities. By the way, just got a message from our guy, Thomas Williams. Thomas, thanks for being with us. Just fun, man. So many dear friends joining us today. All right. My first question, David, is about tools. So I want you to give us one practical tool. We might talk more about tools later on, but I know you're all about action and tools. So give us a practical tool that we could use in our lives for taking greater action.
So good. Yeah, what a question, too, between the knowing and doing, getting right to the tools. So one of the archetypes, the action archetypes, is fear of other people's opinion, which is the allodaxophobic. That's the term for it. So the tool for this that I use is called Be the Comedian. Now think about your favorite comedy show. Okay, my favorite is The Office. Michael Scott, he's Dunder Mifflin, the paper company. He's the manager of it. And he's always saying something or doing something to just get himself in hot water, putting his foot in his mouth all the time. And it's hilarious. So funny watching this guy go through these struggles. But think about it. That show is funny. It's set up because we go through those situations. You are the Michael Scott at some point in your company where it is stressful, where you say something, where you feel like you're in hot water. But if you're able to just pause in that moment and take yourself out of the situation to the point of where you are now watching yourself go through this, you're watching the comedy, you'll probably start laughing at yourself because it is funny. He always gets through it. He always works it out. He's fine. Every difficult situation that you've been through, you're fine. You've got through it. You're here today for that reason. So the next time you're going through a struggle, think about what is your favorite comedy show? And now watch yourself and you'll be able to laugh at yourself. And if you just laugh at yourself, you know what? It takes a lot of pressure off you, and it takes a lot of pressure and just tense moments off the people around you.
So good. Allodaxophobic. Did I say that right?
Yeah, yep.
And we all just need to make sure you did not just make that up. That's a real term, Diener. Allodaxophobic. Come on, man.
Fear of other people's opinions.
Let's go. Tim Harrington, leader in the Quad Cities. God bless Iowa. In your life, David, how are you fighting against those worst case scenario thoughts? You answered this a little bit already, but we can go deeper. Also, y'all should know this. I think the chat feature is now working, but if you can't see chat, if chat doesn't work, throw it in the Q&A. Q&A is working. Chat feature might not be working. David, you can answer Tim's question.
Yes. How to fight the worst case scenario thoughts. So one is just kind of that understanding right there. It's always great to understand that these thoughts, they're not going to actually happen. And then the other part that I'd like to remind myself is there's only two ways of thinking here in these worst case scenario thoughts. And here it is. People are either a downward counterfactual thinker or an upward counterfactual thinker. Now, upward counterfactual thinking is basically the worst case and always living in the past of the what ifs. It's the, well, what if I would have done it differently? Then I would have been here. Or what if, I missed out on this opportunity? Or what if? It drives you nuts. These lead to the worst case scenario thoughts. Now, downward counterfactual thinkers, only two ways, the completely opposite. Like, for example, you get in a fender bender and you think, well, it could have been worse. Or you're thinking about this worst case scenario. Well, it could have been worse. Or your wife My wife thinks if you get in the ocean, a shark is going to eat you and you're going to get a shark attack. No, that only happens to about 6 people in the entire year throughout the world. They're going to get somebody else. It's just the perspective that you look at things. So a lot of it too, Jordan, is about just being, aware when these thoughts come up. And it's really hard to just continue to flow in the natural continuum of time without actually having a stop to it. And another tool that I like to use, and it's the best self-awareness tool that I've ever been able to do. Anytime I have a negative thought or a worst case scenario thought, and now those are natural, and do not suppress them. Do not try to act like you don't have them. You have to be aware of them and address them to be able to get through them. But I just snap my fingers, just a snap of the fingers. And the snap is a trigger to my subconscious, to my brain, that I'm going to stop and I'm going to pause. It stands for the S, stop. You stop the situation, a cut in the continuum of time. You notice, the N is notice. You notice what is going on. Like, okay, what's happening here? What is this worst case scenario thought? You assess, the A is assess. You assess this. Why am I thinking that I am going to go broke because CNN is telling me that there's going to be the worst economic crisis of ever and all the stocks in your house and everything? Why? All of that is lies. And then the P is pivot. It's just a slight turn in perspective. You realize, oh, this news company has an agenda behind it. Somebody's paying them big money, so I live in fear. So then I just get the pivot, the small turn of perspective. So snap your fingers. Use that as a tool anytime you have this worst case scenario thought coming up.
I love it. We're going to keep rolling with questions. I love snap. Stop, notice, assess, pivot. Come on. Fun fact, David Nurse's dog is named Pivot. Wrote a book called Pivot and Go. All right, yeah. Kelsey Motley. From the West Coast, Oregon State Athletics, Kelsey Motley, West Coast, Best Coast, says, do you guys have tools for overcoming imposter syndrome? How do you, David, overcome imposter syndrome?
Yeah, great question. And Jordan, if you say the West Coast is the best coast, does that mean you have to actually come out here more? Or are you talking the West Coast of Iowa?
I should say this. Kelsey Motley was an Iowan before she moved to Oregon State and went to the West Coast, Best Coast. So she's taken action. I have not yet taken the action. Maybe I can't call it that.
Yeah, knowing and doing, too big.
Knowing and doing, two different things.
Yep. So imposter syndrome, first, I would have to ask you the question, Kelsey, like imposter syndrome, is it actually a real thing? Like if you are feeling, get this, if you are feeling what people call imposter syndrome, meaning you don't feel like you actually belong in the place that you're going in, that means that you are doing something of importance. Nobody in the history of ever felt imposter syndrome when they're sitting on the couch eating Doritos, drinking Coke, and watching Netflix. It just doesn't happen.
It's good.
It means that like anytime you feel that imposter syndrome, anytime you feel that uncomfortability, that is a great thing to feel. It's not always fun to feel, but ask yourself that question. That time you feel imposter syndrome, when you step into a room that you don't feel like you belong to. I've done that many, many times. When you step on a stage to give a keynote talk, your first keynote talk ever, and you basically fooled your way there, created a speaking reel that was just you in different outfits giving one-liners. You're not really a speaker. Me, years ago. Do you feel that imposter syndrome? But the question is, how do you feel after?
So good.
You always are thankful you did it. I think about that so many times. Even when I go into, I love meeting people and I love being around people that are doing great things for others, driven individuals. And I think, oh man, I don't know if I want to go in here. I think I can make another excuse. Let's just sit this one at home. Me and my wife will just chill. But after it, every single time, like, man, I'm so thankful I went. So thankful I went. So I would say, just flip the script, Kelsey, really. Like anytime you feel imposter syndrome, instead of feeling like, because you've got to remember, everybody else is feeling the same way too. You're not the only one feeling that. Even the people that you think have it all together, trust me, they don't have it all together. Lean into that. Flip the script on imposter syndrome. You're meant to be there. And that's
I think what you said about feeling the tension is a signal of, or a sign of the fact that you're working on something significant. So I love how you unpack that. Thank you, Kelsey, for the question. Go
Great
Beavers,
question.
Oregon State. Hey, one of my favorite people on the planet, Ben Rogers of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Local community leader, politician. We love Ben. Ben asked the questions about small steps. Here's the specific question. The bridge between knowing and doing are the habits. What are the smallest steps to begin to change our habits to achieve more alignment? Small steps. Great question, Ben. Small steps. What do you do? What do you do to start to change a habit, David?
Yeah. What a phenomenal question and just a great breakdown of it. Like, how do you even break down the micro? The habits is the daily process that you're putting in. So a lot here, Ben, and then we'll wrap it back up to make sure it's very simple. So I want you all, after this call, after this right here, this webinar, to Google 365 to the power of 1. It equals 1, okay? 365 to the power of 1.01, 1%, like 37.28 something. It's 37 times greater just taking that 1% step. Now, one of the most difficult things for people to do is actually take the first step. It's very overwhelming to think, well, I gotta lose 30 pounds. How am I gonna do that? Or I gotta get to this level of the company. How am I gonna do that? No, it's just day after day. It's the continually planting seeds, and then the fruit will grow over time. So with the habits, first, understand, before you understand the habits, which is your process, you have to understand the system. Now that is who you are, like who you are at the core of what you do, your God-given ability, your strength. Are you the greatest encourager? Are you the greatest connector to ever live, Jordan Montgomery? That's his strength. So he's going to put in habits, daily habits of, all right, who can I put together? Who can I connect? Who can I see that are going to make the world a better place? And he's working on his daily communication. So you figure out who you are, your God-given strengths, and then what areas can you plug in daily habits towards that? Also understanding that all you have to do is start. Now the start's it's not always easy, and you're probably going to have resistance towards it. I just call this the 17-second rule, and it's actually in the book Pivot and Go. One of my favorite tools of all time. For 10 years training NBA players, I'd carry a stopwatch with me because they don't even want to work out most of the time. And I'd click the start button to see how long it took them to be able to be okay and get in the flow of it, of coming against resistance and being able to do the workout. And 17 seconds was the time that the average that came up on that. So think about that. All you have to do is pick up the phone one time. If you're making cold sales calls, pick up the phone and you're going to be in the rhythm. 17 seconds. I get in an ice cold shower for this purpose every single morning. The mental dictatorship control of my mind, not letting my mind control me. 17 seconds. It sucks the first 17 every single morning. After that, I'm good. So remembering that it only takes that 17 seconds, understanding, okay, who am I? What are my God-given gifts and abilities? And then I'm pour into those little daily habits that's going to strengthen that elite strength. Planting a ton of seeds, that's going to equal results. System plus process equals results, knowing that it only takes 17 seconds to take that first step.
The power of 17 seconds. David, I think you are one of the best I've ever met, maybe one of the best in the world at taking chances. Like putting yourself out there, taking chances. Like, dude, you have this uncanny ability just to try new things and meet new people and put yourself out there. And I think most people would say, gosh, I'd love to have the kind of confidence that David Nurse has to step out in faith and try new things and do new things. Awesome question in that vein from Connor Welvert. He said, loved your example of taking action when you got a second chance. Do you have anything that you've tried recently that's allowed for a real opportunity? Like, so you've stepped out in faith recently and it's turned into a really big opportunity, or it didn't work and you actually just failed. You stepped out, you tried, and it would just, you crashed and burned. So you can answer either one of those or both of those, but I thought, great question by Connor Welvert. Moline, Illinois, originally from Moline, Illinois, close to Western Illinois, the home of David Nurse, where you played college basketball. There you go.
Yeah,
Connor's a hooper. Connor's a hooper.
Yeah, so both, definitely. And this is the archetype, the inopportune. And here's the reason, Jordan, why I love taking risks and taking chances. Because there's another only two ways to see things. It's either the why me? Well, that person, they were born into it. They deserve it. Why could I get there? Or the why not me? Somebody's got to do it. That's the way I always look at something. Like, well, somebody's got to do it. I mean, if I want to be the best keynote speaker or the best author. I mean, there's got to be someone that does it. Why not go for it? Why can't it be me? Because when you think about it, like all these built-in excuses of why somebody else does it, it's pretty much a lie. People say, hey, you know what? And they were just born into money. No, 80% of millionaires today in America are first generation millionaires. So quit telling yourself that lie right off the bat. Or you're, oh, you know what? I'm just small town, just didn't work. I'm from small town Pella, Iowa. Come on. Like, seriously, you can't, or oh, my parents, you know, it's just, there's so many excuses that you can make of why, but it comes down to either the why me, why do I deserve it? Or why not me? And that's literally the only way you need to look at things there. So I've had many failures. Literally probably 75% of the things that I put out there don't end up coming. Like I've got some adventure trip masterminds to Machu Picchu that I was lining up. Going nowhere. I'll put different things on social media. I'm like, all right, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to do a series of this. Don't end up doing it. But what I think about, Jordan, is like the ESPN sports broadcaster who makes his predictions early in the year, and then they're way off base at the end of the year. Nobody ever calls him out for that. Nobody tracks that. Yep. And I realize if I say something, I mean, like if something that I'm trying to build, trying to do, like nobody's really calling me out a year from now, be like, David, whoa, like I remember that April 22nd, that post you did, like, where is that? Like, well, all right, well, I'm learning in the process. So I'm also taking big shots because I feel like, well, why can't I do it if somebody else can? And I'm going to develop a Anthony Bourdain type of inspirational, different type of show, athletes, TV show. And that's going to happen. And you can hold me to that. So there's the next big one coming.
Let's go. Hey, speaking of taking a shot, and again, I think you do this really well. We have a lot of salespeople listening. Here's kind of a sales-oriented question. It's really a question about relationships. Can't wait for this one. Jeff Vitalkites out in the Mid-Atlantic, Maryland guy. Love you, Jeff. And he's in our group coaching program. Jeff asked this question. I recently was introduced to an up-and-coming NBA coach. How can I get him comfortable with giving intros to others in the NBA at any level? Do I start small or do I go big? So the question is really, how does he get this guy to open up, start making introductions? What does that look like?
Oh, man, that's a great question. And the connections and relationships that you make will be everything in life. Everything, think about this, everything that anybody listening has done, I know for a fact, everything that I have ever done has never been of my own doing. It's somebody else has given me that opportunity. So connections and relationships, everything. Here's what I would say. Pour into that person. Pour into that coach. Don't even make an ask. Just overproduce, over-provide for him. And there's two different types of people here again. There are givers and there are takers. If this coach that you met is a giver, he will feel on his heart, oh, wow, just pouring into me so much. He's providing so much value to me. How can I help you? That's going to come organically. If you go too early and you're like, hey, who can I connect to in the NBA? Who do you got? Those relationships he has are gold. And if he doesn't have full trust in you, full trust that you are not going to just use those people, but you're going to provide value to them, never going to give it to you. That's the thing with like Jordan and I. Like I'm going to pour into him. And then he's always asking, hey, what can I do for you? And vice versa. None of us are saying, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this. So it's to continue of pouring value in and understand you're going to get burnt. Like you might pour a year into this guy. You might give him great advice. You might spend time with this guy and he gives you nothing. It's okay. Don't change because I promise you, you will meet somebody. You will meet that NBA person. If it's not this person, maybe it is, that will give you tenfold back. Like I did with Gary Sachs. Every connection came from this handwritten letter that I sent to an NBA GM. Sent it to all of them. It's the only guy that got back to me. And I poured into him. And man, every connection, every NBA thing came from that one connection with Gary Sachs. So I would just say simply, just really over provide the value and don't feel like you have to ask something. He's going to come to you at some point and say, what can I do for you? And then the door's open. Then you can say, hey, who do you know? Like, who do you know that you think could use some of this? Who do you know that you really like? Who are your guys that I could connect with? And they'll be more than willing to open that up to you.
Hey, and I want people to know that you walk what you talk. So like, as you read this book, Do It, like you're walking this, man. Like I could probably tie 10 of my closest relationships, especially my professional relationships, back to David Nurse. And so I think, man, to know you, David, is to know new people. It's to meet more opportunities. It's to think bigger about life. And you're walking what you talk. So I love what you said about adding value. Obsessively and relentlessly add value to people. Understand that you will sometimes get burnt. Jeremy DeRamus from the great city of Conway, Arkansas. Go UCA Bears. Fun fact, David Nurse gave a keynote speech before game day to the UCA Bears one time in Abilene, Texas, middle of nowhere. I was there with you. It was great. Jeremy DeRamus has this question. When you're given the opportunity to adjust course and get off the treadmill of life, to think about where you want to go next and what you want, i.e. vision, what is the first 1 to 2 things you are doing? So you're slowing down, you're getting off the treadmill of life, you're thinking about the future. I do think you're somebody who spends some time and thought, but what are the first sort of 1 or 2 things you do to ready yourself to think about future and craft your vision?
Man, that's great. I mean, the vision, like we're talking about, the self-efficacy, if you do not have that vision of where you want to go, then you're just wandering aimlessly throughout the desert for 40 years like Moses. So that vision is very important. Now, to find that vision, you have to take time. You have to take time to actually think and reflect, because we get going so fast and so much that if you don't create the margins in your life, you will never be able to have that vision. And this is the distracted. So what Jeremy's saying is he's taking a step back from the distracted. Now, I'm going to talk about the distracted, then I'll get back to the answer of that. So the distracted is a very important one, because people think, well, it's distractions, notifications, all these bad distractions that could come up. Not really. It's actually the good things. It's the shiny objects that you get that keep you away from the great, from the vision. So if you have a vision, Jeremy, first you have to ask, does it have a purpose bigger than yourself? If it's only for you, that vision will never fill you up. You will never be content. So what I like to say is, like, when you take that step, motivation will show you where that is. Discipline, it will get you there. That's the discipline, yourself. It will get you there. But devotion will keep you there. And that's a bigger picture. Devotion is for other people. It's for a bigger purpose. Discipline is only for you. So where is your devotion? Who are you doing this for to get to this purposeful vision that you have? And the distracted is all the different opportunities that you get. Everybody listening to this, you're doing great things. You're going to get a lot of opportunities. I know this, the more that the books and the podcast and the speaking grows, I get all these. Jordan and I talk about this all the time. It's like, hey, man, are you going to be at this event, this event, this event? So much. Or even like the opportunities of, hey, let's do this business idea together. Well, if my vision, my purpose, my full alignment, what we're talking about earlier of who you were created to be, if I continue to take things off that path that don't lead to it, it's just like I said at the start. You're walking across from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow on that tightrope. If you continually take steps left and right, completely off that tightrope, you're going to fall. So to answer the question, when you take this time, when you create the margins, think about where your devotion is. Who are you devoted to? Is it this thing that you want to do, this vision? Is it going to help the greater good of people, or is it going to help the greater good of you? And that's the question you have to ask. You cannot get caught up in the interment of, well, it's not going to make as much money. No, a lot of people who are very, very, very wealthy and very, very miserable. That will never fill you. Devotion, your full alignment, have that vision. And then, like we talked about earlier, what are those steps? You can even look at it. Jordan, a tool that I like to use is the treasure map. And this is your gold. Your pot of gold is this vision. And like you do in the movies on the treasure map, they always find little clues that lead to the next thing. You don't just straight run to the gold or then the movie's over. What are those steps along your path, along your treasure map that you have to hit to be able to get to the final vision, the final overall purpose that you have?
So good. And you are someone who's constantly talking about vision. We spent a lot of time talking about future and vision. So that's real. So much of what you just shared, I've watched you process. All right, great question. Garrett Paulson, Jeremy Moritz, two good friends up in Onalaska, Wisconsin. That's a real place. Onalaska, Wisconsin. What's up, small town, Wisconsin? Right by La Crosse. Garrett has this question. He's sitting with Jeremy, and they asked this question together. What are you doing to surround yourself with the right people? Two-part question. What are you doing to surround yourself with the right people to get poured into? And who are those people?
I just hang out with Jordan. That's all I do. I just pour into Jordan. Hey, Jordan, where are we going? I let
We
him
do webinars. We do
No, but it's people like Jordan. I mean, obviously, there's no one just like Jordan, but yeah, that's such a great question because it is. I mean, it's very cliche to say you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, either physically or virtually, and it's cliche for a reason. It's very true. I surround my people with who have big visions. Who, when I come to them and I tell them, "Hey, I'm going to make a TV show, and this is what I got on my mind," they're not like, "David, that's dumb. There's no chance you're doing that." Like, okay, cool. Well, I know this guy. This would be a good person to talk to, or maybe did you think about this? And then they're going to hold me accountable to it. So it's people that are willing to support your dreams, but are also willing to challenge you when you need it, and they will tell you the truth. So if I just had all these friends that were just yes men, they're like, "David, you're the greatest. Yeah." They feel awesome, but then I'd also be blind. I'd be like the American Idol singer who really actually sucked, but their family was telling them they're so good. You don't want that. And, you seek out these people. If you don't have that type of people in your life, first understand that you have to trim the fat, meaning you have to eliminate the negativity, the people that are trying to bring you down like the crab in a bucket. I'm not saying you have to say, "Hey, high school friend, like, we can't talk anymore." No, you don't have to be that mean to them, that direct, but just, put them on the back burner. Put those people who are not people you want to grow with on the back burner, understanding that just because they're from high school, just because they're your family members, doesn't mean you have to bring them along with you. You can't save everyone. You can't. You have to understand that too. Grow with the people around you, find the type of people you want to be around, and then also diversify yourself with individuals from different realms. Like, I'm not just saying I only want speakers. I want people with different thoughts to see the world in a different way, not just the same groupthink type of people. And it helps me become more well-rounded and honestly see things from a different perspective that I had no idea or no way I would have ever seen before.
Hey, quick one on that too. I think what oftentimes gets forgotten about is the people you pour into. So when we think about surrounding ourselves with certain people, I think we have a tendency to think about like accountability partners, peers, or mentors. We forget about the person that we're serving. And I know you're big on this, David. Quick 30-second story. I went to coffee with a guy from my church who asked me, he said, "Hey, can I take you to church?" He's an elder. And I'm thinking, man, this is awesome. Like, here's a guy who's going to pour into me. I'm going to learn and grow. We sit down for coffee. And I told him, I said, "Hey, like, this is an answer to prayer. I've really been wanting to grow in my faith lately. And I've asked God just to put some men in my life who can teach me, pour into me, people who are older with more experience and wisdom." He said, "Hey, that's great. And maybe this is an answer to prayer. And God wants me to teach you and disciple you." He said, "But if you really want to grow in your faith, you got to go disciple somebody and serve somebody else."
Yeah.
And so I think just as we answer that question, land the plane on the answer is like, it's not just about surrounding yourself with mentors and people who can teach you, but also like, who do you need to put in your circle that you can serve and grow, coach, mentor, teach? The best way to learn is to teach. It'll do more for you than what you know. Carly Koziel, great question. How do you deal with negative self-talk? She says, not necessarily events that aren't likely to happen, but the constant negative thoughts that beat you down and make you second guess yourself.
Yeah, that's a great question. And thanks for pointing that out too, Jordan. Is like, it's not just what you can get from other people, but yeah, who can you go mentor? Who can you go teach? So, Carly, negative thoughts, they are going to happen. Our brain is actually like, it is set up to have negative thoughts. The neural biochemistry and everything, neurological synapses going through your brain, they are termed for the negative. As we grow past 4 years old, we start to have just these surroundings, and it's called the self-looking glass theory. As we see things happening, and it's having more of a negative effect than it is a positive effect. So first of all, the understanding that that's totally okay to have those thoughts. And also, I think one of the most important things that you can do is, one, those thoughts that you're having, tell yourself, friend of mine, Dr. Daniel Amen, he calls them ants, where he squashes the ants, automatic negative thoughts, squash them. So the awareness, squash those ants and let yourself know, like, that is actually a lie. Like, it is a lie that you're telling yourself these negative thoughts. Now, don't suppress them. You do not want to suppress them. And I'm going to pull this analogy out. I've never used this before. It kind of just makes sense. Like, if you suppress ants, these negative thoughts, and like you're just putting them in your pants and in your clothes, it's not going to be very comfortable, right? First time I ever used that analogy. Kind of like it. So you can't suppress them. You have to address that they're there. And now you can replace it, just like we're talking about in pivoting perspective. Everything is replaceable. So say that negative thought out loud. If you say it out loud, you're actively addressing it. You don't have to say it around other people. You might look like a crazy person, but say it out loud. And then literally think about, well, what is the opposite? What could that really actually be? Or you say, hey, I'm just really ugly and I'm just not worth anything. Well, say that out loud, okay? And you think, okay, that's really actually stupid. And then you think, well, I'm very good looking to my spouse. For some reason, Taylor thinks I'm good looking and I've done amazing things. Like, you can just go through because it's so easy to forget all the great things that you do. And I write out my daily joys every single morning. I think this is a powerful thing to do. Just write out small daily joys. And a lot of times it's just beautiful sunrise, had a great dinner with my wife, went for a walk, just small little things, because our mind, like I said at the start, is more programmed to think the negative. Also understanding that once you start working on these reprogramming of addressing them and then changing them, pivoting them for the positive, it takes your brain more power, more energy actually to have negative stimuli. The negative takes more energy out of your brain. So you'll be more freed, you'll have more energy, you'll be less stressed once you start making these pivots of negative to positive. But once again, you have to be aware of it. If it's so easy to just let it keep going. You can snap your fingers, you can say it out loud. You have to stop it, you have to address it, and then you have to change it. So it's just like anything. Like, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come the first time, just changing it. It's like if you cook an amazing meal, you're probably looking at all the instructions the first time and, weighing it and everything on the scale. But by the 954th time you make that meal, you probably know how to do it. So it's just the daily practice of it.
You're getting some love in the chat box, David. Somebody said, Stephen Farladou said, I love that analogy. I'm going to start using it. And ants.
Hey, I got to call out Stephen.
Squash them.
Hey, Stephen,
let's go.
Man, he is from New Mexico, bought 33 Do It books, and he's given out. He might have even bought more. He's probably putting in the chat right now. He bought more. Stephen is.
Let's go, Stephen.
You have those people that are just crazy blessings. Stephen's one of those.
Stephen's a blessing. All right, question from Stephen the Blessing. And then I'm gonna go back to, we have like 80 questions. We're not gonna get to all of them, so I apologize. A bunch of great questions. Stephen asks, "What's your process when coming up with new tools? You have so many great ones. What's your process?" He also asked an earlier question about how you deliver the tool. So, like, you're introducing a tool to an NBA player, for example. What's your process for creating it, and then how do you first deliver it or introduce the tool to the player or the person you're working with?
Super good question. So, creating my own tools, I use them on myself first. I'm a test subject for everything that I create. I don't just say, hey, this is going to work and have no idea if it does. I'll use it on myself. And a lot of the times it'll be through different things that I learned from others. I'm not saying I create everything that's an original. Most of it's not, but it's my own little spin that I put on it. And it's the people that I learn from. I look at this like a big smoothie in a blender. Okay, I like this tool that Jordan had, or maybe Ed Milet or an NBA coach. They had these tools. I'll throw them in a blender, smoothie it around, dump my little spices and granola and my own toppings to make it my own. So, but then I test it, I use it. And I usually test it on people who aren't necessarily NBA players right from the start. But I also know the players very well. I know them inside and out. I know that I have their trust. So I know that I can implement it with them. But without having somebody's trust, I could never go to somebody and just say, you know what? Here's what you need. This will fix it. No. I'm always asking questions. I'm asking questions so that they, one, are taking ownership of the answer that they say. It's one of the keys to leadership, I think, is the question asking ability. Instead of telling somebody what to do, ask them, and you're going to win twofold. You're going to actually get the answer that they really need because you're asking them, and they are the expert in themselves, and they're going to take ownership because they stated and they said it. So with these answers that I get from them, now I think about like, well, what tool could work well? I mean, I've got a whole list of them, and sometimes I'll put them together, and I'm not just stuck to like, it's not cookie cutter for every single one. So that's how I implement them. And that's kind of how I create them as well. Of like, what's the problem? What's the issue that we're trying to solve? It is all in the thing that we're talking about. They're here. They're on one side of the mountain cliff. They got to get to the other side. What is that bridge of taking action? What does that look like for them?
Awesome. And hey, I'm going to say this to all the people in the chat box. If we didn't get to your question, you can email a question. You could follow David on social media, send him a DM with that question. Sorry, David, we just jacked up your inbox, your DM inbox.
Email me at david@davidnurse.com, please.
David@davidnurse.com. Email David if you have a question that we didn't get to, because we got a bunch of them. Constance McDaniel, I see you. Kevin O'Neill, you're my guy. I see you. But I'm going to go back to Connor Welver. I'm breaking a rule because we're supposed to get through, new questions with new people. Connor Welver already asked a question, but I'm going to get back to it because I think it's the perfect way to land this plane. He said, why would you give up a job in the NBA? That seems like a dream job. Why would you give it up? Listen, this is a story about taking action. It's a story about a pivot, and it's a story about creating a breakthrough. There we go. All three books. I think this is an awesome way to land this plane and talk about your story of going from NBA coach to top keynote speaker and best-selling author.
So great question. And from the outside looking in, NBA coaching seems like the ultimate. Why would you ever give that up? Why? But here's the answer to that. When you are with a company or a team, and especially in professional sports, where it's extremely ego-driven, okay? Everybody talks about culture. Let's have a great culture, but hardly anybody can actually live it out or define it. A very good friend of mine, Eric Spoelstra, is a coach for the Miami Heat. They live out culture in the sense of they all are in it together. I coached for the Brooklyn Nets, and every assistant coach was MFing me because I was working with their players. I thought we were all the same team. I had no idea. The trainer wanted to have an impact. He'd hold out players so it looked like he had an impact. The equipment manager had an ego. It was wild. So unless you are with a team like the Heat who all care about each other, they have a system where no coach works with the same player. They rotate, so nobody feels that possession of, well, if Jimmy Butler scored 42 points, that was all me. So that's one of the main reasons. And that's why you see, like, my uncle is not in a hurry to get back in the NBA. He just got fired by the Toronto Raptors, not in the biggest hurry to get back. Jay Wright is a friend of mine, if you know who that is, for Villanova, their head basketball coach. The conversation with him, he was asking me what I was doing because he said, I never want to get back in that rat race again. So I found that my true passion, number one, was not in X's and O's and coaching and even training players individually. I was so blessed to work with the Wasserman Agency, where I had Russell Westbrook, Klay Thompson, all these NBA stars training at one time. And it just hit me as like, this is not what I'm excited about. This is going to sound bad, and I love these guys so much. Brooke and Robin Lopez, I was praying at night that they wouldn't show up to workouts the next day because I just didn't have any excitement to go do it, to be honest with you. But I did love the part where I was encouraging them and I was showing them, hey, it's more than just basketball. You have an amazing platform to change so many lives. That's the part that I love to pour into. So I realized, like, my gifts and what I really enjoy, what I get my fulfillment out of, the 8% of living out your dreams, wasn't necessarily with being with one single NBA team and not just with basketball. So use that. I learned from that, which I also think is a really important point for people to understand. Like, yeah, I got fired from the Brooklyn Nets. And you could look at that as like, dang, you put in all that time and it's over, it's gone. No, I just put all that time and I learned so much to be able to use for something else. If you look at a fired situation or an end in a relationship, like people say, oh, 6 years and now I got to start all over again. Now you just learned exactly what you don't want. You learned some good qualities of what you don't want that you can use into the next relationship that you get in. nothing is ever a loss.
Mm.
Nothing is ever. It's the difference between people looking at the lost opportunity principle and the future opportunity principle, using what you have done, what you have been through for something greater to come.
Bro, you were such a blessing. Thank you for taking this time. We want to say thanks to everybody who joined us. Go follow David Nurse on social media. Real quick, David, where can people find you? Email, website, social media handles. We want to know that.
Before we get to that, I want to thank everybody for being on before you sign off. And just to let you know, I've been blessed to meet a lot of really cool people, and anybody that Jordan knows as well, they will tell me, Jordan is special. Jordan is different in a great way. So you guys might not see it because you get to be around Jordan all the time, but he is one of the most impactful leaders in the most genuine way that I have ever seen, and anybody else that I deal with has ever seen. And just so you know too, like, I'm just an appetizer for today. Later on, he's got Pat Lencioni and John Gordon. So I'm just kind of like the fried calamari at the start, and that's the filet mignon to come later. So guys, you guys have an amazing, amazing leader here in Jordan. But the book, yes, Amazon, davidnurse.com, podcast, The David Nurse Show, all that good stuff. Thank you guys too. And email me if you have any more questions.
Thank you for being here. David, man, thank you for your friendship. Thanks for all the good stuff you're putting out into the world. We're going to run this back on the next book. We did this with the last book, and we're going to run it back and do it with the next book. How many books, real quick, how many books do you plan to write over the course of your life? I don't know if I've ever asked you that before.
You never have. I mean, it just depends how long I live, to be honest. Like if I live till I'm 100, there'll probably be, one every year. Writing. Yeah, there's going to be different styles of books, allegories. Like But here's what I need everybody to challenge and hold Jordan accountable for, that I am. He said he's writing a book. He's in the process of it. Please keep checking up on him. Do not let this one slide. This book has a ton of value and impact in it. So there you go.
Hey, we are writing a book. And if you plan to write a book, just know it's a lot of work. There's a lot that goes into writing a book. So you've written 3 of them. I'm working on my first, and I'm not even halfway through. And it's a lot of, but hey, we do have some authors. Shout out David Cooks. I see you. So many great people who joined us today. Thank you for being here. We're going to run this back. We'll do it again. God bless you. Be well. Have an awesome day. David, I love you. Talk soon.
Man, love you too.
See y'all. Take care. This has been another episode of the Growth Over Goals podcast. David Nurse, you are a gift to leaders, to individuals, to athletes, to coaches. Thank you for who you are, for the great work that you put out into this world. We had so much fun hanging out with you via this live webinar. Cannot wait for your new book to drop. Do it. The life-changing power of taking action. Thank you to John Choate, James Roth of Storyline Multimedia for all of the work that you do behind the scenes to make these podcast episodes go. Finally, if you would share this episode with a friend, if you might even subscribe to this podcast, it means so much to us as we move our mission of impact forward. Be well, be great. Have an amazing day.